It's the final week of the regular season, and with an 82-game sample size, it's time to hand out some awards. Welcome to Give and Go, presented by State Farm. I'm Madelyn Burke, joined as always by SI NBA writer Rohan Nadkarni and the crossover's DeAntae Prince. Let's start with Rookie of the Year. Guys, statistically, Joel Embiid leads the rookie class by a mile, but we all know quite well by now he's played in just 31 games. Does that small sample size give you enough faith to hand him the hardware, or is there someone else, perhaps Malcolm Brogdon, Dario Saric, who might deserve the award?
Yeah, I think I'm Team Brogdon at this point. When we talked about this at like the mid-season, I was leaning toward Embiid, but then they shut him down a little bit early. And what Brogdon did recently actually got him more brownie points with me when he jettisoned the whole campaign thing and said, just take the money and give it to charity instead. And, you know, that earned a lot of points with me.
I do really appreciate that, too, because a lot of teams will build these, like, big campaigns and spend a lot of money sending out, you know, mugs or jars of paint or whatever to get their guy the votes.
Yep.
But saying donate that to charity for a guy like that, I think that's a big move for a guy.
I disagree. I was going to vote Malcolm Brogdon, but the Bucks didn't send me any free stuff. So I wrote that I picked Brogdon on SI.com. I'm changing my pick. No Brogdon, because I didn't get any free stuff. Hey, my Rookie of the Year vote, it's up for grabs, guys. Dario Saric, I don't know if the Sixers want to send me a trust the process
You can make a donation in your name to the Human Fund,
Human Fund, yeah.
Money for people.
So my Rookie of the Year vote's up for grabs. In all honesty, I think Brogdon is my pick. You know, to me, it means something that he played a consistent role on a playoff contender throughout the year. It's a team that's going to be in the playoffs. And as much as I love Joel Embiid, it's not the award for most talented rookie, right? It's Rookie of the Year, and I think that's an important distinction we have to make here. He played the whole season, and you have to reward availability. So I think Brogdon should be the pick, and I'm happy for him, you know, about the charity thing. So I think Brogdon's the right choice.
I agree. And, you know, availability, like you said, he's had some recent back struggles, but he's still shooting almost 47% this season. He's got some solid numbers. And, you know, second-round pick guy who's on a team making an impact on a team that's a playoff contender. He could be the first second-round Rookie of the Year pick in like 59 years. I would really love to see that.
I was expecting a sweetheart pick from Magruder from the Heat fan.
Hey, man, Magruder, I just think it's remarkable that he's had a career at this point. I mean, that guy truly came out of nowhere. Yeah. No draft evidence, so I'm happy for him, but Brogdon's the pick.
Brogdon's the pick. All right, we've got a unanimous pick, but what about Coach of the Year? Who's your guy for that one?
Well, here's my sweetheart pick. I got to go with Eric Spoelstra for this one for Coach of the Year. This is a tough award because I think you could give it to a guy like Greg Popovich every year. You could give it to Steve Kerr every year. I think throughout the course of his career, Eric Spoelstra's proven that he's one of the better coaches in the NBA, you know, top 5. I just think that you look at the Heat, 11-30 to start the season, just Dwayne Wade leaving, Chris Bosh's situation, all the injuries they dealt with early in the year. He has a chance to finish the season 30-11 and at 500. I just think that's so remarkable. And, you know, we talk about what Coach of the Year means. It's not just the in-game decisions, but guys like James Johnson, Dion Waiters, Magruder, Wayne Ellington, who've all revived their careers in a way in Miami that, you know, can set them up for huge contracts or set them up for the rest of their careers. That means something to me, and so my pick's Spo.
I don't disagree with you. That is really impressive for Spoelstra to take a team that started the season in that manner and keep them playing and keep them hungry enough to turn it around. I think that's really impressive. But I think there's something to be said for Mike D'Antoni. Yep. I think you and I talked about this earlier. We agree on that one. I mean, to take James Harden and bring James Harden to the next level, to take a guy like Eric Gordon and bring him to like six-man candidate, to take that team and make it what it is. I mean, D'Antoni has had some runs as head coach that weren't quite as successful, but the combination of Mike D'Antoni and the Houston Rockets is just the right combination. I think he's got to win Coach of the Year for that.
Yeah, and Lee Jenkins touched on this a little bit earlier in the year that D'Antoni was able to take that team that really like severely underperformed last year and sort of change the culture and, you know, get people on the right foot and get people in, you know, sort of going in the same direction. And obviously Harden having autonomy and being able to control the entire offense had a lot to do with that too, where he didn't have to butt heads with Dwight. But he just seems to have everything going in the right direction, and, you know, he sort of brought some joy to that team with that 7 seconds or less offense.
Now, we mentioned Harden, and D'Antoni has really elevated his game this year. But is that enough? I mean, we've had James Harden in the MVP conversation, but can he really win MVP over a guy who set the league triple-double record and has just been single-handedly keeping the Oklahoma City Thunder relevant?
I think people are just overthinking this award too much, and you got to give it to Russ. And we touched on this today. We had a roundtable. it means something to me that he has had the most memorable season of any player, this year and in recent history. Yeah. On top of that, the Thunder were left in a lurch by Kevin Durant. I mean, this team could have missed the playoffs easily.
Yeah.
You look at that roster, it has no business being where they are as good as they were this season. It just, there's splits when Russell's off the court. There's splits versus when he gets a triple-double and when he doesn't. It's incredible to me that this has become the debate it has. And, I understand Kawhi has the defensive game and LeBron's putting up these numbers, but it's not the award for best player. It traditionally has not been. Mm-hmm. That's why Michael Jordan didn't win it every year. That's why LeBron doesn't win it every year. What Russell Westbrook's done this season, just the singular force of him on the court and the way he captivated us every night, that I recognize that, and I recognize that by having him as my MVP.
And it is the most valuable player, and the value that Russ adds to that Thunder team, keeping them relevant enough. I mean, if you put any of these other guys on that Thunder team, can they elevate this squad the way Russ has? I don't know. I think that he has single-handedly kept this team relevant. I can't argue against that.
Yeah, like Rohan said, historically it would look wild if we had Westbrook missing the All-Star starter nod and winning MVP in the same season. Like, when people look back at that and they say, like, what were those media people thinking?
Right.
And,
it's like, how do you overlook that guy that many times in a season?
Exactly. And not to bring Lee up again, but in his Presti story today, he talked about how when a guy like Kevin Durant leaves a team, usually it takes like 5 years for a team to build back up again. And because they had Westbrook and they doubled down on him and put the right pieces around him, now they're going to the playoffs as like a 6 seed. So
yeah,
just shows you how much value he brings to that
Lee
team.
Jenkins getting all the hat tips.
Yeah. He deserves it.
Lee Jenkins MVP. He might get the first ballot.
And also let the award be about the narrative for once. Yeah. Like let it. I understand people are. Ben Golliver's got his charts on why James Harden should win, and people are looking at adjusted true shooting percentage and all these things. You can
lawyer your way in and out of any of these guys.
Just let it be about the narrative for once.
Yeah.
His best teammate left him. He was angry, and he was so angry, he said, I'm going to average a triple-double this season. And he did. And I just reward that.
Anger is only a letter away from danger. Dangerous right there. Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
I didn't know that was
Please end the video now.
Right. Well, this year, the league is doing something a little bit different. All of the awards will be handed out after the season, after the playoffs, after the lottery, and after the draft at the first ever NBA award show, June 26th in New York. Thanks to Rohan and DeAntae. Continue to check out the crossover on si.com/NBA for all the latest on and off the court.